Hello everybody and welcome back to Esports Talk. My name is Caleb and I'm coming at you today with some good news. Recently, Phil Spencer, CEO of Microsoft Gaming, has formally announced that it is his intent to ensure that even with the acquisition of Activison Blizzard by Microsoft, still impending but looking all but certain at this point unless something unexpected happens, he has announced his formal intent to ensure the PlayStation does not lose Call of Duty. There's no word so far that this is going to become an exclusive title anytime in the near future. Some fans are feeling relieved, but others are still a little bit skeptical. So we're going to take a look at the statement made, we're going to take a look at some of the arguments and discussions going on, and of course we're going to keep in mind along the way that while we do have a direct statement made regarding whether or not Call of Duty will become an Xbox exclusive, saying so far that is not the plan, that does not apply just yet to any of the other IPs that Microsoft has just acquired from this acquisition, meaning that there's a lot to discuss, a lot to think about, so let's dive in. To set the scene, here's what the tweet in question says in case you missed it. Had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry and we value our friendship. And of course, folks, we're very happy to see this coming out of Phil Spencer. It was a great thing to hear, it soothed a lot of worries, and of course, there's not a lot of benefits consumer side to a property going exclusive, so there's not really a lot of people that would have been cheering for the alternative. That being said, you can understand why people were expecting it. There's a lot of power behind the Call of Duty franchise. For all the criticisms that may be taking place regarding Vanguard and Warzone, the fan base is still absolutely there. If there is anything that my strong-arm person, a long-time PlayStation fan, into finally buying an Xbox or just a computer with Windows on it, it would be something like Call of Duty. That being said, like I brought up earlier, there is still some reasons to be a little bit dubious that this is a guarantee of things to come, even in the near future. Just take a look at this tweet by Jeff Keighley, who raises an excellent point. Fair questions around if keep means existing or future games too. The wordsmithing on this stuff is always hard. Tom Henderson made a very similar statement, adding on, it seems like it's going to be a, well, we asked Sony for XYZ and they refused, so we're keeping CoD on Xbox type of deal, in my opinion. So just looking at that, you can already probably see two big potential problems. The first is he specifically says honor existing agreements, and there's no way to tell how far into the future that goes. For all we know, they had an agreement when it comes to the game's titles that we already know are announced, because of things like Vanguard, Warzone, Modern Warfare 2 said to be announced. Maybe they've already planned out the next Call of Duty franchise, and they've already gotten some guarantees in place regarding that, but we can't know for sure. It doesn't mean anything going forward, but that is, of course, not a big surprise. You can't really make promises when you don't know too far into the future. And of course, with this being a very, very big change for Activision Blizzard, I can't expect that Sony is thinking that things are going to remain the same in any capacity. But the second problem here is that phrasing desire, our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. That doesn't mean it's a guarantee. And who knows if those desires will be outweighed by a potentially lucrative business opportunity. Once again, we're going to take a look at Twitter to investigate further. Keeping in mind that so far, all of this is, of course, just speculation, but we, of course, do still have more speculation from some pretty trusted sources, at the very least, have a good perspective, and you can tell because they're frequent faces on this very channel. We're going to be taking a look at the thread between Modern Warzone, Charlie Intel, and Tom Henderson again, in which they discuss whether or not PlayStation would be as generous if the tables were turned. Charlie Intel raises another solid point. Microsoft definitely does not want to give the appearance of gaining too strong a stranglehold on the industry, given they're not quite clear of antitrust inquiries yet. Now, there's a lot of speculation regarding whether or not they're likely to be blocked by any government actions here, and I am far from knowledgeable enough regarding antitrust laws to give you any solid answers. All I can say is a lot of folks don't know for sure right now. I also think Modern Warfare's point about Call of Duty doing so well on PlayStation is very important here. Will they see continued sales as lucrative enough as an incentive to keep CoD on Sony's platform, or will they be hoping to pull over as many fans onto Xbox, finally wrenching them from Sony's grasp by force? Will the draw of CoD be enough, in their opinion, to lure over some potential new dedicated customers, or at the very least people that are willing to buy just for CoD? Doug Dagnabbit, who runs the Modern Warzone channel, doesn't seem to think so. Finally, Tom swings back in and states, it honestly just looks like they are trying to reassure consumers at the moment. I'd imagine they'll fill all their existing obligations and see where CoD is at then. For all we know, Sony could have signed a 5-year deal last year when everything was fine. Very interesting thoughts on the table. I would love to be a fly on the wall of a Sony business meeting right now, or Microsoft one for that matter. Right now, all we know is that we have no way of knowing what contracts or agreements were in place before the acquisition happened, so who knows? All we know for sure is that things will be different, and a lot of folks are hoping it'll be for the better. The news dropped recently that reportedly Activision may no longer be releasing yearly CoD games. Being part of a much bigger company, one can imagine the series no longer has quite the same responsibilities as a primary cash flow generator. However, like I said, none of this applies to any other Activision Blizzard franchises, meaning that all of them are still up in the air. Who knows what this means for the future of properties like Overwatch, like Diablo, or perhaps most devastatingly of all, Crash Bandicoot. There's a lot to keep an eye on, and of course, that's my job, so I'll be keeping a close lookout for any more news on the subject matter. But while I'm doing that, I want to know what you folks out there have to think. How do you feel about this big move? Do you feel like this has any positive implications for the future of Call of Duty, any potentially negative ones? Are there any other IPs that you're really curious to see how they're going to end up as things move forward? I know a lot of people have been hoping, praying that a lot of those IPs are going to end up on the Game Pass, and based on the fact that Xbox stated, a lot of the reps in discussion here have talked about how that's one of their primary goals, increasing the power of the Game Pass. That seems very, very likely. But one way or another, like I said, we want to hear from you. And in the meantime, I will be keeping an eye out. And once there is, of course, more news, I'll be right there, ready to write, record, and send it out to you. But for the time being, that's all we've got. Thank you for joining us once again for a bit of speculation, and we will talk to you next time.